the world. I've had some girls take my breath away. All said and done, there never was one that could make me stay. But I'm thinking April, May. Yeah, I'm thinking April, May. She's got a hold on this old heart that may never go away. And I want to start some long slow march to a June wedding day. No woman's ever made me stay, but I'm thinking April, May. I'm
NASH FM 1049, country artist James Robert Webb is in the house. How are you doing?
I'm doing great.
And your travels and everything?
Yeah, I mean, smooth road, blue skies. You know, nice Ford F-150. You know, takes all the. You guys have a couple of potholes and things up here.
Just a little, just a little bit.
But yeah, I mean, actually, you know, the trip's been nice. The roads have been actually really nice. Lots of friendly people, and we found a great bakery on the way coming over here.
I know.
Yeah, Bake My Day.
Bake My Day. And so, what kind of yummy stuff did you guys find there?
You know, pretty much anything. I mean, you just throw a dart and hit something that looks like I probably shouldn't be eating it. You know,
but you know what?
Cupcakes, all that stuff. They look good.
You're on radio tour, so those calories don't count.
That's true. Yeah, I was also told if it starts with a C, it doesn't count. It doesn't have calories. The cookies and cakes and stuff. Yeah.
Absolutely. So I've been reading up stuff on you. And one of the things that I found out is that you had some really amazing artists that you grew up listening to. So who would you say are your biggest influences, and how did they influence you?
You know, I listen to a lot of things, and I listen to different genres. But I mean, I keep coming back, even in country, to like Garth Brooks and Toby Keith and Brooks and Dunn, and that kind of '90s golden age of stuff. That was like a really cool time where, and those guys were writers too.
Yeah.
You know, and they wrote most of their stuff, and that's what really got me into country music as a singer, was the songwriting thing first. And I think for country, it's always about the song, and that's why I love about country music the most.
Yeah, it's that's one of the things that I think I appreciate about country music, is that it's very much a storytelling. It walks you through that story. And, you know what's going on, whether it's a truck, whether it's a woman or what it is, you know what's going on, and it's a story. It brings you through.
Yeah, I mean, different genres do different things, but the thing I love about country is that it's like you can relate to everything. It's just like realistic stuff that everyday people can relate to. Like,
when did you start playing? Did you start playing when you were very young? What kinds of things were you involved in?
I think one of my two earliest memories of music are when I was probably like 3 or 4, and one is banging on my mom's piano. And then by the time I was 8 or 9, I can remember trying to like play like Jerry Lee Lewis and kind of getting. I just like the way I saw those old videos of him, of how crazy he was, and so that seemed fun because I was a hyperactive kid. I'm still kind of hyperactive. You can see I'm using my hands.
Yes,
you're not on the
talk
radio.
With your hands a lot.
If you're listening on the radio and you're not watching Facebook Live, then I look like I'm Italian, and overemphasizing. But the other. So I was always into music, doing that, and just kind of picking up instruments and things. And the other time I remember when I was little, probably about the same age, is like listening to on the headphones, the big old black headphones with the big cord back when they had those things. And my parents, like my mom, had an 8-track of Fleetwood Mac Rumors.
Oh yeah, such a great album.
Yeah, that kind of stuff. And another early thing I remember is riding around with my dad when I was little in his truck, and hearing Marshall Tucker Band over and over, like Fire on the Mountain. And I think I thought at the time that was just a big radio hit at the time, but it was just like he just played them all the time. That's steel guitar kind of thing, and that's probably a lot of what developed my taste for like steel and fiddle.
Okay, and so you're talking about piano, and you have your guitar here. So what all do you play? What all instruments
what do I
play?
Well, I mean, compared to the Nashville Cats, I wouldn't call myself a big picker, but my main instrument's probably piano, and that's what I probably am most comfortable on. And I kind of play when I'm songwriting. I go between different instruments, and it's one way to get you out of a rut and get into different ideas. And or if you get a certain you're looking for a new idea, or you're kind of writing a song and you want to look at it differently, put it on a different instrument, and maybe take it somewhere else, or it may be easier to like get that melody line that's just right. You know?
Okay. Now, here's a question that just popped into my head, which could be scary,
Yeah.
but maybe not. I think
Yeah.
I think you might feel pretty comfortable with it.
Yeah.
When it comes to songwriting, when you think of a song or a song comes to you, do you hear like all the different instruments playing around when you're thinking about it or constructing it? How does that work for you?
It all of the above, and it's always different to me.
Okay.
I think, you know, when you're writing in Nashville with, you know, one or two or three other writers, sometimes, you know, you may be throwing off ideas and just, I say it's almost like a Ouija board, like where does the idea go, because you have more hands on the thing or whatever. Or when I get flashes of insight or songs kind of get transmitted to me, then a lot of times that may be the lyric or a melody or whatever. Like the song April May is kind of one that kind of came quickly for me. And then you kind of spin, then it was like, how do you craft it and how does it need to be? I mean, if you're not into songwriting, that sounds kind of boring, but, you know, most we think of like verse, chorus, because the big hits we think of are like, you know, you got a verse and you got a big chorus, and then you repeat the chorus over and over until, and then change the key or whatever. You know? So, but yeah, there's a lot of things that go into songwriting that you don't realize until you get into it, or go to Nashville or a big city like that. So I hear them different ways. I mean, I had a song, you know, sometimes I'm down playing piano and hear something kind of comes like a composition the whole way through, but I don't have lyrics or anything necessarily. And those are kind of sometimes those are hard to know what to do with, because sometimes that's not like a country song or whatever. Like it might be a, I don't know, some kind of classical thing or some Broadway thing or whatever. I don't know, or sound like with ideas that I thought, well, you know, maybe that's not really. You know what I mean? Sometimes we might not be the best judge of what a song is going to be until it gets done.
Okay.
As writers. Do I understand you're a writer too?
I am.
Yeah.
I write poetry. I write fiction,
awesome.
screenplays. I also write songs and stuff like that. So
Yeah.
for me, this is very, very interesting, and asking questions about what artists, how it works and everything. I find it interesting because creative people create differently. I think it's so intriguing how people create and come up with their ideas.
I'm with it. And right now I'm reading a book about, it's a biography of like Rodgers and Hammerstein, you know, Richard Rodgers and Oscar Hammerstein, like that wrote, you know, a whole ton of big old songs back in the day, you know, where they were big Broadway, but they're like the things that people cover, like the old American songbook stuff. And it's always interesting to me, that dichotomy of those people, like one would write the lyrics and one would write the music. And that's kind of a lost thing to some extent. So, but I find it interesting because a lot of times when I'm writing, I'll get stuck on one or the other. Yeah. You know, so then I have to like get out of that headspace and think what's like when you're writing by yourself, you're doing all those things. So sometimes it helps to focus on one aspect. Like I'm just gonna really make this melody really cool today.
Well, related to that, I have another question. So here we've talked about songwriting. We've talked about all the artists you grew up listening to and your influences. Who's on your playlist right now? Who are you listening to a lot?
Who am I listening to a lot now? So, ironically, my last three things I think that are on my playlist, because I share it with my 15-year-old daughter, are Apple Music shared things. So I've got Ella Fitzgerald sings the Cole Porter songbook, which is like an old thing that I like. And she's got the Taylor Swift album, and then I'm trying to think before then is the Jamie Johnson album Within Color. Because I had never downloaded that one. That In Color, that song, we were talking about that coming in, you know, it's just a great country song. And so I mean, I listened to everything. I'm trying to think if the last three things I listened to, one was Katy Perry, and one was Tyler Childress, and one was you know, a lot of times it's like what people are talking about it, or what's coming out, so you're checking things out.
And so do you find that variety brings in more variety to what you're writing when you listen to all the different stuff?
It does. I mean, I think it can't help but influence it. But you know, there's a big controversy. You know, like a lot of people get, you know, well, that's not country and that's too pop or whatever. And you know, there's that to some extent. But I try to, you know, we don't want to. Even though I love, say, Garth Brooks, the old Garth Brooks stuff, and Brooks and Dunn and Reba, it's not like we're trying to redo that or like make something that would sound like it was on their album. We want to make it something that sounds like it's 2019, like Riley Green or Luke Combs, you know, are good examples of being kind of traditionalists that are kind of bringing that back into the forefront. So, you know, I think all the influences are good, but from my perspective, when I write something, as an artist, I like to kind of make it sound country. You know? And for me, that usually means there's probably some fiddle, there's probably some steel in there.
Okay.
Yeah.
Something else that I noticed is that you are very heavily involved in charity work. And so tell us about some of the foundations that you do. And there's one of them that's specifically your foundation, too.
Yeah. So my foundation, Music Can, we started really to kind of help. I help rural music education and to support that, because there's a lot of focus on, because of where the population is, a lot of focus on inner city and suburban stuff. But like I grew up in Oklahoma, out in a little town that's 30 minutes from Tulsa, and like less than 1,000 people there. And so where do those people get support? There's not a lot, and those, when you talk about music programs getting cut, those are expensive to buy instruments and things like that. And looking back, even though I went to that that small country town, my involvement at that school, my involvement in the music program was one of the huge things that helped me be successful. And I think, if I didn't have that, where would I be today?
Sure.
And so that's for me to be able to give back to those kids, because I think a lot of, with the shift of population, more people living in cities, sometimes the rural kids get left behind.
Yeah.
And gosh, for country music, I think that's a huge thing. So Music Can, that's the foundation. And I do a lot of stuff with veterans, because service has been huge in my family. I wasn't in the service, but my dad was in the service overseas when I was born, and his dad was in Korea, and my mom's dad was in World War II in the Battle of the Bulge, and just on, goes on back. And got a lot of people in law enforcement and people that just kind of service related.
Okay.
So working with places like Wounded Warrior and Honor Flight and Folds of Honor, like we did with that recent campaign in Illinois with Pepsi. That's been really good to be able to raise money for that. And we've been able to work with some local ones. Like there's a great one based out of Tulsa. It's growing, called Soldier's Wish. So you can check them out. They help even like active duty families, and kind of paying regular bills type of stuff. So it's a really cool organization. And then the last one I try to also tout is the SADS organization, which stands for Sudden Arrhythmia Death Syndrome, which sounds like really creepy. But my two daughters and my wife have long QT syndrome, which is a heart condition that causes sudden death. It's usually like an athlete, in the prime of their game, that has a heart attack. Basically, about 3,000 people get killed every year with that. So,
wow.
Yeah. So it's about, they try to raise awareness and help people once they've been diagnosed that face that.
So glad that you're
Don't get me started
involved.
about those, because it's really cool to be able to that's one of the things I love about being on radio is country radio, especially, just so supportive of charities and St. Jude and all these other things, and giving back. And I think that's the thing I love the most about country radio people and organizations, and that's what I'm really proud of as a country artist. Yeah,
being able to give back and support. I think I think it's important. I think it's important.
Absolutely.
not just as an artist, but I think just as a human being. I think we want to be able to give back, and we want to be able to we want to be able to, help other human beings along the way.
Yeah, create beauty, give things back. And, it's kind of like the old Boy Scout model of, leave something better than you found it.
Something that I noticed, too, is that you were part of something called Country for Country. It was a concert, so it was PepsiCo and everything. And how was that? So Lady Antebellum, you were part of, how many people were there? And I guess artist-wise, and what was that like for you?
Yeah, I'm trying to remember how many, I can't remember the total numbers, but it was, that was a weekend. The night before us, Brantley Gilbert was playing there in Marion, Illinois. That was with Pepsi Mid-America and Pepsi 618. They've been really supportive of veterans' causes. And the whole, they, kind of got that together really to help support like Honor Flight and Wounded Warrior and Folds of Honor. And people may not know, Honor Flight, but you can look those up. They're really cool organizations that help vets. And that night that we ended up playing, it ended up being like one of the hottest days on record in Southern Illinois. It was like like 100 or something. We're pretty close to it, which is that's kind of like Tuesday in Dallas. But it was pretty hot. But we had some great people out there, and even though it was hot, they were all out there having a great time for a good cause. So that was fun. And then we had who else was there that night? We had I was joking that we had the Hayes family singers because we had Walker Hayes and Hunter Hayes were both out there playing. Great show. So
yeah. So it sounds like that was an awesome opportunity for you. And what are you doing? What are you doing tour wise? It looks like you are already in Illinois. Where else are you going?
I am. Yeah. I mean, I'm still based out of Tulsa, Oklahoma. So I have stuff around there. And then we're playing here and there where we can find places across the country sometimes. So like next weekend, I'm in Connecticut, and then I'm like in West Virginia playing like for a Marshall game. So it's just like what we try to do is get to where getting outside the state of where I'm kind of at is to try to get to places where we have a lot of good radio support, and so that makes it really cool because like a couple of weeks ago I played a show in Watertown, New York, and it's cool when you go to those places because the song's being played and so everybody like is singing along and know the words to your song, without having to come see you 10 times. So that's really cool because that shows the impact that country radio still has today, even in the age of streaming and online. People still, most people still listen to the radio.
Yeah, and I think that's one of the things I've discovered about country music too, is that a lot of times people think it's just from Nashville, but I mean, people involved in country music, they're from all across the country, and
absolutely,
it's not necessarily just a Nashville thing. I mean, there's people from Texas, people from Oklahoma. Had an artist here from Seattle who was a country artist, and
Dylan Jacobson.
Yeah,
Dylan.
So
he's great. Yeah,
it's really cool how vast it is.
And John Party's from California, right? Absolutely.
Yeah, so it definitely reaches further than just down south.
Yeah, it's we talk about my influences, and it's not so much a lot of those people that we mention are from Oklahoma. But they kind of went to Nashville and helped craft that sound, and so it's just there's something in the water there. There's lots of little pockets of places.
Yeah.
But inspiration can come from anywhere, and a great song can come from anywhere, and amazing artists. So it's really exciting. I always think it's exciting to watch new people come up and like Dylan and then me, obviously.
You, yes. And I don't know if you've heard this, but Ken Burns just got done doing a country documentary. It's going to be out on PBS. So when you mention people
awesome.
coming out and bringing like their influences from Oklahoma and Texas and bringing everything to the country sound, I'm eager to watch that and see the whole history of what he has there.
Yeah, everything kind of gets put together in Nashville and country, but the influences are all over the board. And you think of like George Strait's career. George is from Texas, and Dean Dillon. You got that's mostly kind of Texas. A lot of that, whatever percentage of country was that 10% of country. But and a lot of people from Georgia and Alan Jackson and all these people. So it's really cool. It's kind of the melting pot. But definitely Nashville is where the movers and shakers and the people that are able to get people to the next level and make things happen. And it's a really cool town.
Yeah. Now, you just got done finishing a project, so it looks like you got a new album coming out in the fall. Do you have a specific release date?
We think we're looking at probably February 2020.
Okay, February 2020.
Yeah,
okay,
we pushed
awesome.
that back. I still have to kind of stop and revel in the wonder because so this album was produced by Buddy Cannon. It's just incredible. Buddy, well, a lot of people outside Nashville don't know. Buddy used to be Mel Tillis's bass player, but he's been Kenny Chesney's producer the last 20 years, and he does. He's an A-list producer, and so I just had to kind of pinch myself and remind myself that I'm actually I'm at that level now where I'm working with Buddy Cannon. It's been an incredible experience, and he's just a regular guy, and we just like to have fun when we make music, and that's the way it should be. But then I had to kind of stop and think, well, yeah, you are kind of living the dream, buddy, because they're mixing this album between Reba and Willie Nelson albums. So I'm like, okay, I'm up with some big names now. So we're excited. That's going to be a self-titled album, James Robert Webb, and you've probably heard. Now We're Getting Somewhere was the first single from that, and that's at about 125,000 spins on Spotify, and April May is the second one, and that's kind of been our fastest debuting and highest climbing one to date. So it's pretty cool to see that happen, and I'm just you put it out there, and you hope people love it, and when you get a good response, it's just
And
That's
so are you
nice.
going to play that first today? Or
I
can
would
you
love to
play
that
April,
for you.
May?
I can play. I'll play as many as you want me to.
Play as
Just
many
let
as
me
you
know.
want, so I can
I've got
pick.
time. You have to ask Trina how much time we have. And then, yeah.
Okay. I think my final question for you is, how do people get in touch with you? You know, are you on social media? Where can they check all your stuff out?
So I try to make it easy. So everything on social media is exactly James Robert Webb.
Okay.
So JamesRobertWebb. So 2 B's. Sometimes the easiest way may be, because there's a lot of fake accounts and stuff. It's kind of weird, you know. I
Yeah.
kind of think I get 4 or 5 fake accounts on Instagram a week, and so I
Okay.
can't imagine what like Carrie Underwood has or something. But
Uh-huh.
so sometimes it's easiest to do like a Google search for people. So just Google James Robert Webb.
Okay.
That will usually take you to my homepage, which is jamesrobertwebb.com,
Okay.
and those socials are linked from there too. But yeah, I usually tell people just to Google. Sometimes it's easier because then that cuts out the fakers. I'm always having fans like saying, "Well, somebody's asking me on a date and saying that they're you," and I'm like, "Okay, that's weird." And then,
Yeah.
it's like people are crazy. So,
Yeah.
and then the sad thing is, I think a lot of people just get ripped off right there.
Yeah, I've been seeing that a lot, and I've actually been seeing a lot of artists that are starting to stand up for it and say stuff and say,
Right.
"Hey, you know, I'm not gonna private
We're not
message
gonna-
you.
we're
This
not
isn't
gonna private message
Yeah, we're not
you."
gonna ask you
Yeah.
for money, those sorts of things,
Yeah.
so that people aren't getting
If
scammed online."
you are a fan that I'm going to private message you, I've met you in the real world somewhere, and we've
Yeah.
we've kept in contact. So
Uh-huh.
and that's people like to think that somebody famous is contacting like that. Oh, Jason Aldean just sent me a message and said his buses broke down and he needs me to wire him some money and that'd help him get to his show. Okay, well, let's stop and think if
Yeah.
it's a little too good to be true or whatever.
Yeah, Jason probably has contacts.
I think Jason probably, exactly.
Yeah.
He's probably, he may be taking a helicopter or a Learjet to his next show.
No kidding. Come get me.
Got the baby,
Come pick me
baby
up.
buggy though.
Yeah. So you're gonna play April, May
Yeah.
for us?
Yeah, I can play that.
Okay.
I think I can play it if I remember. I'm just teasing. Traveled the world. I've had some girls take my breath away. And all said and done, there never was one that could make me stay. But I'm thinking April, May. I'm thinking April, May. She's got a hold on this old heart that'll never go away. I'm not one to start some long so much to a June wedding day. No woman's ever made me stay, but I'm thinking April, May. I'm thinking April, May. No one in my past let love last past the break of day. No woman's heard those 3 little words that I can't unsay. But I'm thinking April, May. Yeah, I'm thinking she's got a hold on this old heart that'll never go away. And I want to start some long so much to a June wedding day. No woman's ever made me change, but I'm thinking about da 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 na 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 na. And I want to start some long slow march to a June wedding day. Yeah, but love works in mysterious ways. And she's all made up of those mysterious ways. And she's got a hold on this old heart that'll never go away. I'm not one to start some long so much to a June wedding day. That's not about to change. Yeah, she said yes, and now we're picking out dates
She said June 6th, but I don't think I can wait. Man, I'm thinking April and May. Yeah, I'm thinking April and May. Or maybe spring break. I can hear those wedding bells in Fort Lauderdale. See her picking up seashells in a bridal veil.
Awesome. Oh, I love it. It's very catchy. I just love the vibe that
Well,
has.
thank you.
So thank you so much for coming in and talking to us about music and all the stuff you're involved in. And you'll definitely have to come back up here.
I would love to. It's my pleasure. Thanks for having me. And thanks for everybody that's out there listening.